Okay, this is Slicks. Quite the bloody grid. Lots and lots of extreme machinery around. Perfect example of which being that we're going to be lining up next to a McLaren on the grid. Next to a McLaren, what is going on? Here we go. Behind the McLaren, obviously, as you do. So what do you do about racing TCR cars and McLarens and all the variety of things that are out here? No idea. No idea. It's all a bit extreme, really, isn't it? There is another silhouette knocking around, which I guess we would consider to be our race, really, which is the turquoise Tigra up the road. Did a 50.7, I believe, that car in quali. We were a 51.5. I would like to make some progress in the early stages, because our little wheels warm up quicker than these bigger cars. However, I am also very wary of bringing this car home, because that's not allowed to not happen. This car comes home.
No, Archie Buttle did more laps than anybody. He did the best part of 27 laps, 28 laps in qualifying, so let's wait and see. Lamborghini on pole position, Andrew Christopher's Ferrari sitting alongside, 40 minutes on the clock. Liquid Molly Slick Series about to get underway here at Brands Hatch, with Richard Wheeler firing the Lamborghini up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, onto the brakes, pitch it in towards the right-hander, and it's the Lamborghini that leads the way from the Ferrari of Andrew Christopher in second place. Archie Buttle's there in third, Dylan Popovic in fourth place, and we're 3 wide for 5th, 6th and 7th, with Kenny Coleman trying to open up the door and squeeze his way through, and he's made it through into 5th position. The loser there was Pete Selden, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was a little bit tentative, wasn't he? So he's already dropped another position to the 32 machine of Mike Seaborn. So normal Jaguar racer is Mike. He's now up in that Peugeot 205, trying to make a move on Joe Jackson at the same time as they head the way along the Cooper Straight. But for now, Richard Wheeler does lead the way in the Lamborghini ahead of Andrew Christopher in the Ferrari. Third place for the first of the Ginettas is Archie Buttle. And there is Peter Selden just taking it a little bit gingerly through the right-hander of Clearways, and he's now going to be under pressure from the Seat behind him as well, and he's going to lose the place by the looks of it by the time they come on to the start-finish line. No, he's managed to hold it for the time being, but now you've got Michael Wheeler starting to
sort of halfway sent that, which was a bit of a mistake. Needed to commit a lot more.
Kenny Coleman going wheel to wheel. Michael Seaborn thought he got the door prized open at Paddock Hill Bend, but has just got to sit back behind Kenny's car once more. So it's Lamborghini from Ferrari, from Ginetta, from BMW, from Peugeot, from Vauxhall at the moment. But it's the GT3 specification Lamborghini that leads the way. Andrew Christopher in the Challenge specification Ferrari, sitting there in second. Now, a Challenge spec car, Matt, is arguably harder to drive than GT3 because it's got more power, but it hasn't got the aero either, so it's not as quick through the corners.
No, it certainly isn't. So that's the disparity between the two cars. I was just keeping an eye actually on what seemed to be Mike Seaborn trying to make a move there on Kenny Coleman. He was up the inside through McLaren, but then the power of the BMW just started to pull away across the line, and Peter Selden now is starting to make a few more places up, or trying to, on the inside of Joe Jackson, but he can't get past the silhouette in towards Paddock Hill Bend, but he does now up towards Druids, because Joe Jackson doesn't make it too difficult for him. So Peter Selden just about gets through in the end. Joe Jackson was showing the outside line there, so he had to get his foot off the accelerator as they head down towards Graham Hill Bend. And still up the road from them, Mike Seaborn still trying to make that move on the car of Kenny Coleman. Is it going to be to the inside in towards 30? He's a bit treacherous through there. Didn't want to fling the car into the corner and didn't really want to make contact either. So Kenny Coleman now just starting to back everybody up.
Warren Tattersall gained a couple of places there as well, so he's managed to squeeze his way through and ahead of the Tigra of Joe Jackson on that lap. So over the start-finish line they'll come. Kenny Coleman still under attack from the Peugeot. Joe Jackson now also under attack from Michael Wheeler, who sneaks the McLaren 570S GT4 up the inside. So the Tigra losing places. He's going to try and fight back on the exit of the corner, heading up towards Druids though. But it looks as though...
Well, I've been given a hit there.
In places, he's going to try and fight back on the exit of the corner, heading up towards Druids, and has found his way through. So the Peugeot now moves its way up into 5th place. Kenny Coleman in the Beamer drops down into 6th.
Yeah, and the next car for him to try and chase is going to be Dylan Popovic. So we'll see what the pace of Jonathan Gill is compared to that of the Ginetta of Dylan in 4th place. Last time through is about 1.5 seconds difference, but they are in different classes, different cars as well, quite drastically are those two. Peter Selden also on the march through the field now. He's going to be the next one to try and get through on Kenny Coleman as they make their way again along the Brabham Straight up towards the line. And how good are they in a straight line? Well, pretty even actually, those two BMWs. On the brakes though, Peter Selden is a lot later, almost charges for the inside on Kenny Coleman, but can't quite get there on that occasion. And then just behind, we've still got this good battle for Michael Wheeler, who's now trying to get himself back through on Warren Tattersall. So this is a really titanic battle, isn't it? With everything happening out front, quite sedate out there, but lots of battling going on further back.
Yeah, the front sort of 3, 4 have all sort of robbed away, but everybody wants to be 5th at the moment.
Very intense.
Of Graham Hill Bend. Kenny Coleman just runs a little bit wide at the wheel of the BMW, which now means that Pete Selden is looking to try and put him under attack as they head through Surtees and up towards McLaren. Warren Tattersall is there, followed by Michael Wheeler, and then the car of Joe Jackson at the wheel of the Vauxhall Tigra Silhouette. So these 5 cars all fighting over position. Peugeot just starting to edge away a little bit though, isn't it, in the hands of Michael Seaborn. And here comes Pete Selden.
Braking very early on the evidence the last time when I went for the bloody clutch. Still managed to get stopped. Definitely leading to the brakes more.
Yep, and Michael Wheeler also got through at Paddock Hill Bend on Warren Tattersall, but Tattersall comes back and a little bit late on the brakes there, but manages to hold the corner fairly nicely. So McLaren 570S loses out and might also be under attack here from Joe Jackson as they head their way down towards Graham Hill Bend. So very different cars, but all very much having a good battle amongst each other as they head now down towards Surtees. Keeping an eye on Mike Seaborn and his lap times compared to Dylan Popovic. And last time through is half a second slower, so the Ginetta still has the advantage for the time being. But we'll see if Mike Seaborn can turn that around before too much longer, and we'll see what the pace might be from Jonathan Gill in the second half of the race as well.
And I'm not surprised this is a good little battle that's going on, because if you look at the qualifying times of Pete Selden, Joe Jackson, Kenny Coleman, Warren Tattersall, Michael Wheeler, they were all within about 0.5 of a second of each other. So they're really just sort of matching the similar pace that they all had in qualifying, but it is making for a really good battle in this one. Remember, the pit window doesn't open until after the first 10 minutes of the race. It remains open for 15 minutes and then closes at the 25th minute for the final 15 minutes of the race. And all of the cars have to come into the pit lane and serve what is a penalty, a pit stop from 1 minute and 30 seconds. Pit in to pit out. The only exception to that is Castle Coombe winner Dylan Popovic, who's got to spend an extra 20 seconds in the pit lane.
He has indeed. I've got Richard Wheeler down as 20 seconds as well, only because he won at Silverstone on the national circuit. But I don't know why he hasn't got the penalty.
Because he's been back out since and hasn't won overall.
Yes, yeah, of course. Yeah. Apologies for that. So yeah, absolutely right. So Dylan Popovic is the only one that has the 20 seconds in the pit stop, although yeah, Richard Wheeler has been a winner, but of course he scrubbed that 20 seconds out at the subsequent round. So that's good news for Richard. So he can continue to try and build his lead now over the rest of the pack. Andrew Christopher in second place, just getting held up now in that Ferrari.
BMW's appeared on my inside, not behind me before. Possibly a quicker car.
Because Richard Wheeler now with the clear air goes through with a 49.0, and only now Andrew Christopher past the traffic comes across the line, does a 51.7, so that lap alone he lost near enough 3 seconds to the race leader. So if you get the traffic right, it'll work in your favour. If you don't, you can lose a lot of time to those around you.
Yeah, Richard Wheeler won at Silverstone on the national circuit on the 15th of June, but then he finished third on the 5th of July at Snetterton. So that was
very late on the brakes. Fair play to him. He's definitely quicker. Yeah, don't just hesitate. I'm not fighting you. You're quicker. I want to follow you.
Through and past that first little bit of traffic that needed dealing with, and now can focus his efforts on what's going on up the road. Gap first to second, 7.8 seconds. Gap second to third, 7.8 seconds. Gap third to fourth, about 2.5. But then everybody from fifth backwards all still busy beavering away. And the two Volkswagen Golfs are having a good little fight as well, as they're about to be lapped by Archie Buttle. Coming over the start-finish line now, it's the green and the black Golf, which is going to be Martin Scott, who has got the gold and the black car of John Wyatt right behind.
Yeah, two Golfs having a good battle there, aren't they? So again, in their own respective classes, turn their way through Paddock Hill Bend with Archie Buttle getting through. Peter Selden also got through on that previous lap as well, so Peter now starting to get the bit between his teeth. He is ahead of what's going to be Mike Seaborn in the Peugeot.
Well, that's just his line. Okay.
On Dylan Popovic, but that gap is continuing to grow. It's almost 8 seconds now between those two cars in 4th and 5th places, and there Dylan working his way through the traffic along the Cooper Straight, gets nicely through on the inside so doesn't lose too much ground to the other Ginetta up the road. They're not fighting for class honours because they are in different classes.
TCR car behind. He's not gone for it yet.
Joe Jackson is in full attack mode again. He's sitting right on the coattails of the McLaren 570S of Michael Wheeler as they went through the twiddly parts, but the McLaren has a bit more pace in a straight line, and therefore Michael Wheeler starts to close back in again on Kenny Coleman that lies ahead. So Kenny Coleman, Michael Wheeler, Joe Jackson all still together as they start to climb uphill towards Druids. Ahead of them, it looks like Michael Seaborn at the wheel of the Peugeot is trying to get back onto terms with Warren Tattersall's TCR spec Seat Leon Cupra. Those two cars working their way out of Graham Hill Bend. A beautiful power slide from Michael Seaborn at the wheel of the Peugeot as he came out of the corner. We'll also see that car out in the hands of Jonathan Gill, who is...
I'm going to go to heel and toe now. I've been left footing it, just out of instinct really.
Certainly will, yeah. So doing double duty for this weekend with what's going to be this category and also the next one to come up as well. We've got the Cupra now under pressure from Mike Seaborn. The Cupra doesn't really know where to go in the hands of Warren Tattersall, so finally gets through on the inside line in towards Paddock Hill Bend. But now right behind him once again is Mike Seaborn. You've got Kenny Coleman, who's under attack then from the McLaren of Michael Wheeler, who in turn has got Joe Jackson right on the rear bumper as well. So the traffic is hard to deal with for some of these. Not really sure where to put the car at the minute, but one of the Golfs moves out of the way. That's the 777 machine of John Wyatt. The other one will eventually step to one side for all of the cars. As
oh, buddy, why are you slower now? Come on, you had the pace on me earlier. Getting hold up.
With the quicker cars coming through as well, and just as we get through now the first 10 minutes, the pit window is open.
It is, yeah, so they could dive into the pit lane at any point now, should they wish. Leading 4 cars over the start-finish line. There goes Pete Selden in 5th place, Warren Tattersall in 6th, Michael Seaborn in 7th, Kenny Coleman in the V8 engined E92. Of course, the earlier iterations of the BMW M3s were all 6-cylinder, other than the E30, of course, which was a 4-cylinder.
I'm just in car conservation mode now. I need to hand John over a healthy race car. No point being a hero. We're ahead of the other silhouette, which was our target. Let's just bring the bloody thing home. Off the curves now. No need to hit these nasty curves.
So he's coping very well indeed, is Michael. So every time he gets into that car, he'll continue to learn. And of course, when the first part of the race goes through and he heads into the pit lane, he'll, I'm sure, get a bit of feedback from the team, and he can go on his way to charge a little bit more in the second half of the race. So he pushes it.
I think I'm quicker than the TCR though. I just want to look after the car. I don't want to be so much quicker than his TCR, because then I'm going to want to take him.
The move now is possibly going to be Peter Selden in the BMW, and the other one, Kenny Coleman, now just losing the place to Joe Jackson.
Yeah, I wondered if there's a problem with the Beamer there, because the McLaren and the Vauxhall Tigra just seem to ease their way by fairly effortlessly. So I'm not sure whether Kenny was in the wrong gear and whether that was what slowed his progress through Druids. But not only have they got past him, they're starting to pull away, aren't they? We've got 28 minutes of this race still to go. We've got Richard Wheeler starting to close in on some more traffic ahead at the wheel of the Lamborghini. Does he decide to pit this time? No, he doesn't, but Kenny Coleman dives for the pit lane, and Kenny isn't the only car to head into the pit lane at the end of that lap, because we also have the Porsche in as well, number 91, which is going to be the car that was started by Stuart Warner. It's now going to be handed over to Brands Hatch instructor Colin Tester.
Yeah, Colin's very good at what he does, and he'll be able to pedal this car a little bit quickly, and we'll see if that one can then move its way up from where it currently sits down in 14th position. Again, the Ferrari of Andrew Christopher just stuck through a little bit of traffic, the two Golfs, to work its way through, but does eventually get through. And one of the Golfs has gone into the barriers actually over at Druids Corner, so that's not good news. That's going to be the car of Martin Scott, number 45, so that has gone off, and unfortunately has again had some front damage to that car, and I think the Ferrari's slowing as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that might be connected, the two of them. But yeah, there's lots of damage to the front of the Volkswagen Golf. It deposits its bumper slap bang in the middle of the circuit, and the Golf has got
Yellows. Double yellows here. Something's gone up. Oh, there's a bumper. Okay. What was everyone doing? It's a white flag. Doesn't mean stop, does it? What's going on? I don't know what's going on. Why did everyone stop?
will be done, and there's also damage to the rear quarter panel on that car as well. So race continues, and our race leader, Richard Wheeler, is having to be patient, working his way through traffic now. He's got right onto the coattails of his son, hasn't he? So he's about to place a lap on him.
Certainly, I don't wonder if he'll give him a wave as he goes through at the same time.
Bumper's gone. Thank you to the brave marshal who popped out to retrieve that. In blue flags because I can see a Lamborghini, which I assume is the leader. Is a coming. I'm aware of him. I shall keep my eyes peeled for him.
Going to fall by the wayside. What it does mean that up into second place has gone for now the Mike Seaborn Peugeot 205. So with all the pit stops currently taking place, Mike Seaborn can hold on to that second place for now. Yeah,
Pete Selden now up into third position, but that was a really slow lap from him last time through, 11 seconds slower than he had been doing. So not quite sure what his problem was. Dylan Popovic, as you say, into the pit lane. Jensen O'Neill going into the pit lane as well at the wheel of the Mini Challenge JCW car. He's about to thread his way back out onto circuit. Joe Jackson dives for the pit lane. Pete Selden dives for the pit lane. Archie Buttle dives for the pit lane. So the pit lane is filling up. So at the moment now, Richard Wheeler leads the way as yet to pit. Michael Seaborn in the Peugeot 205 clone. Second as yet to pit. Third is Michael Wheeler at the wheel of the McLaren as yet to pit. And fourth is Warren Tattersall in the Seat as yet to pit. Other than that, everybody else has either finished their pit stops or is in the process of serving them.
Certainly are, yep. So we'll get through these within the space of the next 10 minutes or so. Dylan Popovic.
I think the McLaren behind is for position, and I'd like to beat him. It doesn't seem right. How can there be a McLaren behind for position? That doesn't make any sort of sense to me, but I believe that's what it is. The little Peugeot, the giant killer that could. There's a McLaren behind us for position. Oh, how does that feel, mate, to be stuck behind scaffolded tubes and fiberglass with a little Vauxhall engine? Oh, I love this car. I love this car. I'm going to keep it safe though. If Mr. McLaren gets past me, say la vie, so be it. I must bring this car home safe. To Jon. Awkward. Technically, mate, you're a lap down at this point, so leave me alone.
Last time through was a 2:34. That was his outlap from the pit lane. See the damage there to the right front of the Golf, so right front to left rear. That's perfect confirmation. Also the windscreen was cracked, wasn't it?
Yeah, windscreen had gone on the car as well.
Yeah, so not good news for that team. More repair work to be done after this one before the next round at Thruxton. Thruxton Thriller on the way in about 3 weeks' time for these categories. But yeah, this battle now continues as they work their way through. Are the Slick Series going to Thruxton?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be quite intense for them, won't it?
It will. That'll be very, very fast right there, won't it? So Pete Selden here, managing to squeeze the BMW through and ahead of Michael Seaborn's Peugeot. So that car will be destined for the pit lane before too much longer.
Yeah, fair play. He's quicker. He got that done. Nice. Oh, that could cost you. No. Can't see blues. There's a car behind the McLaren. I don't know what it is. I can't see blue flags for it, so I don't believe it's one of the leaders. McLaren's just been called into pits.
Penalties to come your way as well, so not good news for him. We've then got across the line there. That was Buttle, wasn't it? So Buttle has done his pit stop. He effectively finds himself vying for the race lead, but Richard Wheeler is now back on his way, and Archie is just working his way up towards Druid's corner, so almost 3/4 of a lap behind as it currently stands, but still plenty of time to unfold in this race as we still wait for our next set of pit stoppers. And Peter Selden is back into the pit lane, unfortunately, so with that lap time you spotted, Mark, a few seconds slower than what it should have been, there might be an issue with the BMW.
Yeah, and Michael Wheeler joins him in the pit lane, actually, so Michael Wheeler does come into the pits at the wheel of the McLaren to serve his mandatory pit stop. And
the mission was to beat the Tigra, and I think we've made a great start in that regard, and now we are quite comfortable looking after the car, bringing it home good and safe. There's the Tigra, he must have pitted. Way too out of sequence, he must have pitted. Jon, get in. I'm looking forward to the pit board. I want Jon to jump in this car and feel it. Feels terrific. Ginnetta's right there. Gonna pull over after Graham Hill. We love it. This is a pickle. Why is the McLaren defending against the leader? Dude, you're getting lapped. What's going on? Everyone's so slow. Are you having a problem? No? What is going on? Oh, and you're the lead. Oh, mate. Come on, you lapped me. Why am I stuck behind you now? Not that it really matters, we're about to go into pits. That was a very confusing sequence of events. Woo! And we're coming in. What fucking stint. What fucking car. The giant killer, the underdog, the Peugeot.
So he'll get plenty of seat time. Buzzer goes off at pit lane entry, and into the pit lane they both come. So Warren Tattersall is in, Michael Seaborn is in, and both of those cars are right the way towards pit lane entry end, so we can hardly see them from our commentary position.
Yep, nose to tail they come in then, and they'll get their pit stop sorted. Both of them have to sit there then for 90 seconds from pit in to pit out. Across the line comes Jensen O'Neill Goen. Good to see him out there. His dad, Jamie Goen, has been a regular runner within the Mini JCW Championship, so good to see Jensen now jumping aboard this Mini Cooper S for the first time with Jam Sport Racing, so he heads up the hill and currently finds himself inside the top 10. So it's been a good run for that youngster inside that Mini.
Yeah, another driver that first cut his teeth in Fiesta Juniors, didn't he? Jon and I going.
Yeah. They're all coming through the ranks now, aren't they?
They are, yeah, they're all coming. It's good breeding ground, isn't it, for young talent to work their way through the junior formulas up into senior racing. So Richard Wheeler leads the way at this stage. Archie Buttle at the wheel of the Ginetta will now pick up second place because, of course, he was a bit further down through the order whilst those two cars hadn't pitted. So through comes the Ginetta now towards Paddock Hill Bend. Archie Buttle up into second position. It looks as though Joe Jackson has picked up a time penalty, one would imagine, for transgressing the circuit limits, because his number 121 Vauxhall Tigra clone has now got the exclamation mark beside it, and that is usually an indication that it's picked up some sort of time penalty. If I quickly flick to the switch of my computer where I need to be, he's got the time penalty, of course, because he was short on his pit stop, and the time penalty is 30 seconds plus the time that you were short. So he's picked up almost a 30.5 second penalty for being half a second too short.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? The half a second, you'd rather have lost it in the pit lane rather than lose it with a 30-second penalty.
Yeah, I mean, the way they do it, you know, you think, oh, 30 seconds is a bit harsh for being so late, but that's the way CSCC deal with it as a penalty. The way that other clubs deal with it as a penalty is that you do a stop-go penalty for the period that you were short, which equates to about 30 seconds anyway.
Exactly, so yeah, it keeps the driver out on the circuit and has to lose that at the end of the race. So not good news for Joe Jackson, who has been running really well so far today. Done a good job in qualifying. He's doing a good job in the race until that problem, and now unfortunately another problem has befell Peter Selden, because he's back into the pit lane and he just feels something isn't right with that car. So he's back in for the third time, team checking the car over to see what the issue may be, but again, this is going to pay very much to his race, unfortunately, as we see Archie Buttle working his way through Surtees and McLaren. This has been a good run for him, and the other Golf, unfortunately, is going to be in trouble as well, because that's just expired along the Cooper Straight.
It has, in a big way. I heard it spin coming out of Graham Hill Bend. It must have spun on its own oil, and if I were John Wyatt, I'd be parking that car up immediately rather than driving it round on the racing line, because if that is oil coming out the back of it, it might be a turbo that's gone on it, but if that is oil coming out the back of that, that is going to not be pleasant. It is leaving a colossal cloud, looks like a red arrow, doesn't it, as it's going around the circuit.
We can't see now.
Plume of smoke from that car, and I'm amazed the engine is still running, unless that's the turbo that's blown, but say it literally just spun coming out of Graham Hill Bend.
We'll find out very shortly, won't we, if anyone else does spin on it. Richard Wheeler comes through Graham Hill Bend. He'll now accelerate down towards Surtees. Hopefully he can see through the corner. He'll turn into the left-hander, and yeah, he takes it gingerly. I think it's okay. I think the marshals are putting out the lack of adhesion flags, but that's just as a precaution, maybe because they don't really know what it is. But yeah, thankfully that car is now into the pit lane and will be sorted.
Yeah, I think they said nobody seems to be struggling with traction. There's no obvious sign of oil from where it was. But is that damp on just down at Surtees? I can see
patches, isn't
racing
there?
line. Yeah, it does make me think that probably the turbo had gone on that car, and that was why we're seeing such a huge plume of smoke coming out the back of it. So let's just run you down through the order then at this stage. Richard Wheeler in the number 28 Lamborghini with under 14 minutes to go leads the way. He's on lap number 30 at the moment from the number 22 Ginetta in the hands of Archie Buttle, who's in second place. Third place, but with a 30-second penalty hanging over him, is number 121 Vauxhall Tigra silhouette of Joe Jackson. Fourth place is the Seat TCR car that was in the hands of Warren Tattersall. By the look of things on this lap, it's now going to be Michael Wheeler that will go ahead of that car in the pit stops. By the look of things, yes, he has. So it is going to be Michael Wheeler, who is now in the number 24 McLaren, up into fourth position. Fifth is going to be Warren Tattersall at the wheel of the Seat. Dylan Popovic is now sixth place at the wheel of the Ginetta. I'm not quite sure where Dylan lost all of the time, other than the extra 20 seconds he had to spend in the pit, and that's really cost him, hasn't it? Seventh place is number 48 Kenny Cole. Eighth place is Jamie O'Neill going. Ninth place is Jonathan Gill with number 32 Peugeot. He's in the top 10. That will be number 91 the Porsche in the hands of Colin Tester.
Yeah, this is a really good run though, isn't it, for Michael Wheeler, because he is fourth on the road. Joe Jackson ahead of him has the 30-second penalty, so effectively, if he can stay within 30 seconds, he's going to be up onto the overall podium. So in his first race in this McLaren, out there at 16 years of age, he's going to be on the podium with his dad, which will be absolutely fantastic. So brilliant stuff from him. He pushes on, He's still got to try and keep himself ahead though of Warren Tattersall. He's trying to put a lap there on the Mini of Jenson O'Neill going, so that's a good squabble, but the Mini is a lap down. It's the Seat and the McLaren which are in the battle.
The other thing that Michael Wheeler has got to do is after this race, yeah, we'll hopefully chat to him on the podium and how great it will be to see him and his father on the podium. He's got to flick the switch in his head, because the next race is the Quad Sports Tip Tops. Of course, he's back out again in the Ford Fiesta for part 2 of the race. He's not going to start the race in the Ford Fiesta, so he's got to flick the switch again from sports car and slicks back to front-wheel drive and Ford Fiestas for the next race that he'll be in, which is coming up shortly.
And you do have to adapt, don't you? You have to get from a very quick car to a slightly slower car, and your braking points will be different, and your turning points will probably be a little bit different as well. So all of that to readjust to in the middle of the race, which he'll be taking the car over from. So yeah, doing a grand job at the minute though is Michael Wheeler. He heads his way out now towards Druids. Then goes Warren Tattersall through in the Seat, and you can also see just in the background there, lurking at the minute, is that Jonathan Gill Peugeot 205. But that is another one that has quite considerably dropped down since its pit stop.
It has, yeah, so that has dropped a long way down. The number 32 car, the reason it's dropped down is because it was 2 minutes and 7 seconds in the pit stop, so it's 37 seconds longer than it needed to be. And when you're lapping in 50, you know, you're losing another 3/4 of a lap when you don't need to.
Yeah, especially around Brands Hatch and on the Indy circuit, so that's not good news at all. There goes Archie Buttle, still there in second position, behind the Ginetta of Dylan Popovic, but Dylan will now be putting the lap down by the other Ginetta. And then we've got Kenny Coleman coming through, just being lapped there by Richard Wheeler, who still heads the field in his Lamborghini Huracan, on for a second victory of the season at the minute. That time through, he was a second slower than his best lap of the race, so still on par with what he has been doing. And of course now realise that he's in traffic and trying to lap as many people as he can per lap.
Yeah, so it's a little drop off really from Richard Wheeler, who's been racing the Classic Sports Car Cup for a good number of years now. A whole mixture of things, largely tip-top pace. We've seen him out in things like Mazda RX-8s in the past. So I'll have to lead this Lamborghini that he bought back in the last season, I think. Started this season was when we first saw him appear in the Lamborghini, and chatting to him because he's got a nice collection of cars with his Nissan Super Touring cars as well that he owns. We've seen out at Brands Hatch and Super Touring car meetings in the past. Took a chunk of adapting to.
Yeah, it's nice that he's still learning though, isn't it? And trying a different car and something different from what he's usually been in. But yeah, he's jumped into a Lamborghini Huracan GT3 machine. It's quite special. But he's adapted well over the year and continues to do so, especially with this lead he currently has over Archie, who's on his way very shortly to the completion of another lap. I think Archie will almost be a lap down now to Richard Wheeler as well. Yeah, because Richard just about to come onto the rear end of him through Surtees and McLaren. By the time they get to the line, Richard should pretty much be there because Archie at the minute is losing 2 seconds per lap to Richard Wheeler. So yeah, the next lap we're about to start, Richard will go through and lap the whole field with just over 9 minutes of this race to go, heading down towards Paddock Hill Bend. And yeah, Richard Wheeler makes light work of our second place car, Archie Buttle.
Yep, so that's done and dusted. Jamie O'Neill going, having a good little squabble actually with Jonathan Gill, and that's its full position, the Mini and the Peugeot, because of course the Peugeot lost so much time in the pit stop, 37 seconds longer than the minimum pit stop time, so still trying to carve its way back through the order in the hands of Jonathan Gill. But Jamie O'Neill going is not going to make it easy, so they're fighting over 8th and 9th positions at this stage. The Class SB Mini runs third in that class, fighting away with the SC2 machine. Jonathan Gill, they look fairly evenly matched for pace actually, don't they? Or modern Mini JCW, and we've got that Peugeot clone space frame chassis I think on that car with the Peugeot fiberglass body over the top.
Yeah, and Kenny Coleman just lurking in the background now, the number 48 BMW, but that is a lap ahead, so it's about to put another lap on these two cars as it heads down in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Jonathan Gill trying to go around the outside of the Mini, gets a little bit wobbly into the corner, out on the dirty line, and that will lose him a second or so to that car of Jenson O'Neill going, so falls back. He loses the lap also to Kenny Coleman at the same time, so just taking a little bit gingerly at the minute is Jonathan Gill, but he's had his first attempt, it didn't quite work unfortunately, so we'll have to try again before this race comes to its conclusion, as as they now head down towards 30s and on towards McLaren for what's going to be for them the 34th time of asking.
Yep, so John Giller's got it all to do again to try and close back in on the Mini. See what he can do. Our race leader goes over the start and finish line, Richard Wheeler, and laps for the second time the number 9 Ginetta in the hands of Dylan Popovic, the Castle Combe race winner. So that's that Ginetta dealt with. Did I see there Warren Tattersall slowing down? No, I think he was moving offline actually to let Archie Button go through. So I think number 14 Seat is all good still continuing to circulate as the last car inside the top 6 with 7 minutes of the race still to go. Richard Wheeler's pace, still impressed with it. You know, his best lap was at 48.8. The last lap he did was still under 49.5 minutes, so 49.5 seconds I should say, so that's still 3/4 of a second drop off.
Not bad at all, is it? Especially this late stage of the race with 30 minutes plus gone. He's about to put another lap onto his son Michael. Michael doesn't want to back off too much here because Dylan Popovic all of a sudden has started to catch up now. So that Ginetta is on the move. He's only 1.3 seconds adrift. So Michael Wheeler can have his work cut out now to try and keep the Ginetta at bay. Michael wants to try and stay on the podium at the same time. So Dad might need to come into the helping hands here of his son to try and keep himself on the podium. So this is going to be the next battle to focus on. McLaren against Ginetta, and Dylan Popovic over the last few laps has been, let's have a look at the lap times. That time through he was slower than Michael Wheeler, but I think he would at best half a second quicker the last few laps.
Yeah, it's a thumping Gary's engine under the bonnet of that Ginetta. The Ginetta G50 with its V8 engine car on V6, which the original G50 was. It's a 7-litre V8 that Dylan Popovic has got shoehorned in there, so it's a big old powerful car. It's one that Dylan knows well. He's about to be lapped though by the new G55 in the hands of Archie Buttle. He's gone well this season in the Liquid Moly Slip Series. So again you can see the sort of development and the evolution of the Ginetta brand. The DNA remains the same, but I think the G55 looks at a dated car now, doesn't it, relative to the G50 looks a dated car relative to the G55.
It does, yeah. The more modern Ginetta now, a bit more sleeker, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's got the grooves in it, so yeah, you can see the modifications over the years from the original G50 to the G56, which we now have in racing terms. But yeah, Michael Wheeler still just about hanging on. Again, that would have been a little bit of a relief to see Archie Buttle go through. Michael would be quite handy if Archie can get the lap done and through on the Brabham straight, because that's where he'll lose less time as he works his way now towards the start-finish stripe with 5 minutes to go. But Michael Wheeler is still holding his own actually, although there is pressure from behind. He's keeping his pace. Quickest lap of the race is to 51.3, that time through a 52.1. So just like Dad, he's managed to keep within a second of his quickest lap of the race.
Yeah, he's got it well, isn't he? And so considering this is his first senior race at just 16 years of age, the idea is, learn from it, get used to the car, improve throughout the day, try not to make any mistakes, and he's ticking every single box there. It's been a really impressive performance from Michael Wheeler, and once he's got a bit more experience in the car, it really does make you wonder as to what he might be capable of doing at the wheel of the 570S GT4 specification McLaren. McLaren stopping producing the 570S a few years ago now, and the current spec of GT4 McLaren is now the McLaren Artura. But if you were here at Brands Hatch last weekend, you might have seen racing in the British GT Championship. So Richard Wheeler now on to lap number 42, the race leader. As for Michael Wheeler, well, he's still managing to keep Archie Buttle behind him. Archie's not been able to lap the McLaren as yet.
No, good pace, isn't it, for Michael Wheeler? So on he pushes once again, and yeah, Archie's still struggling to get through here. Of course, he's not really in a position to challenge Richard. He's now a lap ahead, but finally Archie does go down the inside line, but it does then bring Dylan Popovic onto our 4th place car, which effectively will become 3rd once the penalty for Joe Jackson has been applied. But now again, Michael Wheeler has got to defend for his heart's content, hasn't he? Because he would not want that Ginetta G50 to slide through of Dylan Popovic, but they turn their way now through clearways and on towards Clark Curve. Richard Wheeler across the line with 3 minutes 15, so we're going to have probably another 4 laps left within this race, but the battle for 4th place on the track is the one we're all intensely watching at the minute.
Yeah, can we see father and son on the 1st and 3rd steps of the podium? Well, Dylan Popovic has got anything to say about it, then no, we won't see that, because he is closing, ever closing onto the coattails of the light green McLaren, but we have not seen any mistake at all from Michael Wheeler as yet in this race. Just neat and tidy, get cleanly off the corners, and the McLaren, I think, is in a straight line, just about got enough to try and palm away any aspirations that Dylan Popovich might have. And now that he's not got Archie Butler behind him, Michael Wheeler can just concentrate on the road ahead, because he still knows that Dylan Popovich is too far away to mount a true challenge to get right up onto terms with McLaren. Over the start-finish line goes Joe Jackson. Remember, he's third on the road, but has that 30-second penalty hanging over him, and he is only 3.3 seconds up the road from Michael Wheeler, and only 4.4 seconds up the road from Dylan Popovich. So Joe Jackson is not going to drop from third to fourth, he's going to drop from third to fifth, and possibly even to sixth, is he? Because Warren Tattersalls not too far away either.
Yeah, just 4 seconds back from that Michael Wheeler battle at the minute.
And Kenny Coleman is only another 11 and a half off that, so he's going to drop to seventh, isn't he?
He certainly is, yeah. So that short pit stop by half a second has really ruined the race for Joe Jackson. The other battle we have, which is very much ongoing, Jenson O'Neill going in the 272 Mini, still keeping at bay Jonathan Gill in the Peugeot 205, who on this occasion tries to go all the way around the outside at Druid, but again the outside of the track is shown to the Peugeot, and Jonathan Gill can't find his way through. And this is a great drive, as we said, son of Jamie Gowen, who races in the Mini JCW division, but for the youngster Jenson O'Neill Gowen, this is a great race for him to possibly take third within class and also 8th place overall.
Yeah, and we talk about junior formulas as well. You know, Jam Sport do a scholarship, don't they, to bring people into Fiesta Juniors and things like that. Jamie Gowen's company, who have been Mini Challenge champions in the past when they were running the likes of Antwerpen Eels in the British Mini Challenge Championship. So Richard Wheeler is about to flash his way over the start-finish line. I think this is going to be the start of his penultimate lap of the race. So through he comes, 53 seconds to go, and that was a 49-second lap. So he can afford to ease things off on this lap and take the win by doing one lap less. But I think he's going to stick with the task in hand and still keep pushing. As for the squabble going on for third and fourth on the road, once we get corrected times involved, it's still Michael Wheeler from Dylan Popovich, so it's still the light green and white McLaren that is just about ahead of the green and orange Ginetta G50 as they head up towards Druids for their penultimate time in this race. And from there, you can see not that far up the road from the squabbling McLaren and Ginetta is the light blue Vauxhall Tigra, which is the car that's got this 30-second penalty. Richard Wheeler, though, about to work his way out of Clark Curve towards the start-finish line. He'll be starting his final lap of the race, I would have thought, this next time through. So through he comes with 2 seconds remaining on the clock to start what will be the last lap of the race this time through. Archie Buttle, a lap adrift in second place, is about to come over the start-finish line. Third place is going to be Joe Jackson, who again is a further lap adrift, but also has that 30-second penalty hanging over him. And then we get the squabble thereafter, which is Michael Wheeler still doing a grand job of keeping Dylan Popovich at bay at this stage. Tattersall goes through the wheel of the Seat, and then the next car through should be Coleman, who with number 48 BMW is just coming up towards the end of the lap and has been lapped by Richard Wheeler. So I think Richard Wheeler is just going to squeeze his way through and past the BMW, so Kenny won't have to do a further lap with the second car to see the checkered flag. And are we going to see Jonathan Gill finally get past the Mini of... Yes, we do. Through finally goes Jonathan Gill to work his way through past Jenson O'Neill going, but the win in the Liquid Moly Slick Series goes the way of Richard Wheeler, who claims the win by a full lap from the Ginetta of Archie Butler, who's about to take the checkered flag now. Third place on the road is going to go to Joe Jackson, but of course he's got that time penalty hanging over him, so it will be Michael Wheeler, who in his debut in a senior car race at the age of just 16 years of age brings the McLaren 570S GT4 through to finish in third position overall. Dylan Popovich in fourth, with Warren Tattersall in fifth place, and Joe Jackson from Kenny Coleman, who's already taken the checkered flag, sixth and seventh. Jonathan Gill finally was able to get through and past Jenson O'Neill going, but on this lap Jenson's got back through again, so it does look as though he is going to hang on to it. Jenson O'Neill going, who had a brilliant fight between his Mini and the Peugeot for the vast majority of the tail end of that race, and finally swapped positions, but it does look as though they are going to finish in 8th place. And Colin Tester also managed to squeeze through and ahead of Jonathan Gill on that lap as well, so he's up to 9th. Jonathan Gill finishes in 10th position.